Hello everyone. My name is Elena. I'm 21 years old, living in the bustling heart of New York City, where the skyscrapers touch the clouds and the streets never sleep. By day, I run my own tech startup that's revolutionizing how people connect and collaborate online. Think of it as a bridge between dreams and opportunities. But today, I want to pull back the curtain on something deeply personal, a chapter from my life that still echoes in my mind like a distant thunderstorm. This isn't some made-up tale. It's my real-life story, raw and unfiltered, from the girl who once felt invisible to the woman who claimed her spotlight. If you've ever been looked down on, underestimated, or treated like you didn't belong, this story might just resonate with you on a soul-deep level. It could even spark that fire inside to pursue your own path to justice. So if you're ready to dive into a narrative filled with heartache, determination, and the sweetest kind of payback, hit that like button now to show your support. Subscribe so you never miss these inspiring stories, and let's get started. Trust me, by the time we're done, you'll feel empowered and maybe even a little vindicated. Okay, friends, let's rewind the clock and step into my world as it was back then. I want you to really picture it, feel it, because this story isn't just about events. It's about the emotions that shaped me, the invisible scars that turned into my armor. I was born into a life that felt like it belonged to someone else, a shadow existence in the glow of other people's wealth. My mother, Maria, was a fierce, hard-working woman from a dusty little village in Mexico. She crossed the border at just 20 years old, chasing the American dream with nothing but a suitcase full of hope and a determination that could move mountains. She landed a job as a maid for the Harrington family, one of those old-money dynasties in Los Angeles whose fortune came from sprawling real estate empires. Their mansion? Oh, it was something out of a fairy tale, or a nightmare, depending on your perspective. Think towering white columns at the entrance, like sentinels guarding secrets, vast marble floors that echoed with every footstep, cold and unyielding underfoot. Crystal chandeliers that sparkled like captured stars, casting rainbow prisms across the walls during sunny afternoons. The garden stretched out endlessly, a manicured paradise of blooming roses, manicured hedges, and a fountain that gurgled softly, like it was whispering the family's superiority to anyone who listened. Mom started working there right after I was born. So from my earliest memories, that mansion was my second home, or more accurately, my playground of inequality. As a toddler, I'd cling to her skirt while she dusted the antique furniture or polished the silverware until it gleamed. By age 5, I was her little helper, toddling around with a tiny rag, wiping baseboards or folding napkins in the cavernous kitchen that smelled perpetually of lemon cleaner and fresh-baked bread from the family's private chef. The Harringtons had 2 children close to my age. Victoria, their golden-haired daughter, who was a year older than me, and Marcus, the rambunctious son 2 years my junior. They lived like royalty, private tutors drilling them in French and piano, closets bursting with designer clothes that probably cost more than our monthly rent, and birthday parties that were extravagant spectacles with pony rides, magicians, and fireworks lighting up the night sky like a personal celebration of their privilege. Me, my clothes were faded hand-me-downs from church donations, threadbare but clean, and my idea of fun was drawing pictures on scrap paper in the cramped servants' quarters while Mom scrubbed toilets or ironed linens. At first, as a wide-eyed child, I didn't fully grasp the divide. Kids see the world in simple colors, right? The mansion was just a big, exciting place, and Victoria and Marcus were potential playmates. I'd watch them from afar, envy twisting in my tiny chest as they splashed in the pool or raced bikes down the driveway. But around age 8 or 9, That's when the veil lifted, and the cruelty began to seep in like poison. Victoria was the ringleader, strutting around with an air of entitlement that made my skin crawl even then. Her voice was always laced with that fake sweetness, like honey covering a thorn. One afternoon, I remember it vividly, the sun streaming through the tall windows, warming the Persian rugs underfoot. She called me over while I was helping Mom in the sun-drenched living room. "Hey, Elena, come play with us," she'd say, her eyes sparkling with mischief. My heart would leap. Maybe, just maybe, this time it'd be real friendship. I'd drop my dusting cloth and hurry over, only for her to thrust a toy broom into my hands. "You can pretend to clean our dollhouse. That's what you're best at, isn't it, the helps kid?" Marcus would erupt in giggles, his round face flushing with delight, and they'd slap high fives, their laughter bouncing off the high ceilings like daggers aimed at my soul. Oh, the sting of those words. It hit me like a slap, heat rushing to my cheeks, making them burn as if I'd been out in the sun too long. My stomach would knot up, a sour twist that made me want to curl into a ball. Inside my head, thoughts tumbled like a storm. Why do they have to say that? I'm smart. I'm fun. Why can't they see me as equal? But I never fired back. Mom's lessons were etched deep. Keep your head down, mija. We need this job to survive. Don't give them a reason to fire us. So I'd plaster on a fake smile, my lips trembling just a bit, and sweep that ridiculous dollhouse. The plastic bristles scraping against the miniature floors. Each stroke felt like erasing a piece of myself. That feeling of powerlessness, it was suffocating, like being trapped in a room with no doors, the air thick with the scent of their privilege. Expensive perfumes mingling with the polish Mom used on their furniture. As the years dragged on, the torment escalated, burrowing deeper into my psyche. By middle school, I was spending more evenings at the mansion, because Mom's shifts often ran late into the night. I'd carve out a quiet corner in their opulent library, a room that smelled of aged leather bindings and faint vanilla from the candles they burned, surrounded by towering bookshelves, crammed with first editions and gold-embossed spines. I'd hunch over my school notebooks under the soft glow of a brass lamp, my pencil scratching furiously as I tackled homework. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway was my only companion, a rhythmic reminder of time slipping away. But inevitably, the Harrington kids would burst in, disrupting my sanctuary. Victoria, with her perfectly glossed lips and manicured nails tapping impatiently, would lean over my shoulder. "Oh, look at her, Marcus," she'd drawl, her breath warm and minty against my ear. "The helps kid thinks she's a scholar, as if studying will change anything." Marcus, ever the echo, would snort. "Yeah, you'll be mopping our floors forever, just like your mom. No point in all that brain strain." My grip on the pencil would tighten until my knuckles whitened, the wood creaking under the pressure. My heart pounded in my ears, a drumbeat of rage mixed with humiliation. The room would feel smaller, the air heavier, laden with the musty scent of old books and their smug superiority. "They have no idea," I'd think fiercely. "My grades are better than theirs. I aced that science test while they barely passed." But outwardly, I just nod. My eyes fixed on the page, blurring as hot tears threatened to spill. Swallowing that lump in my throat became a daily ritual, each instance feeling a growing fire in my belly, a craving for justice, for validation that I wasn't just the helps kid. One particular night etched itself into my memory like a scar. I was 12, cramming for a big math test that could secure me a spot in an advanced class. The mansion was hushed, The only sounds, the distant hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, and that incessant clock ticking away the hours. Mom was downstairs in the butler's pantry, her hands raw from polishing endless silver forks and knives that clinked softly as she worked. I sat alone in the library, my eyelids drooping but my mind racing through equations. The lamp cast long shadows across the oak table, and the air was cool, carrying a faint chill from the air conditioning. Suddenly, the heavy door creaked open with a dramatic flourish. In sauntered Victoria and Marcus, fresh from a family movie night in their plush home theater, still in their matching silk pajamas that whispered against the floor. Popcorn kernels crunched under their feet as they approached. "What you up to, servant girl?" Victoria sneered, plopping into the leather armchair opposite me, her legs swinging carelessly. She snatched my notebook before I could react, flipping through the pages with exaggerated boredom. Her lips curled in disdain. "Algebra? Really? As if you'll ever need this stuff. Dad says people like you are destined for service jobs. You know, the kind where you bow and scrape." Marcus, lounging against a bookshelf, chimed in with a wicked grin. "Eternal maid duty. You'll be cleaning up after our kids one day." Their laughter filled the room, sharp and echoing, piercing my chest like shards of glass. My fists clenched beneath the table, nails biting into my palms until I felt the sting of crescent-shaped marks. The library spun slightly, the scents overwhelming, their vanilla-scented lotion clashing with the room's antiquity. How can they be so cruel? My inner voice screamed. I've never done anything to them except exist. But I bit my tongue, the metallic taste of blood a small price for silence. That night, back in our cramped one-bedroom apartment that smelled of rice and beans from dinner, I buried my face in my pillow and let the sobs come. It wasn't just sadness. It was a volcanic fury erupting in waves that left me trembling. Betrayal wasn't from a friend turning foe. It was the world itself betraying me, allowing this injustice because of birthright. That fire? It didn't extinguish. It simmered, waiting to blaze. High school brought the disrespect to brutal new heights, each incident piling on like weights on my shoulders. At 15, I was navigating that awkward teen phase. Braces, acne flares, and a body that felt unfamiliar. But I was determined. I'd earned a partial scholarship to a solid public school through sheer grit, balancing classes with weekend shifts helping Mom at the mansion. The Harrington kids, naturally, attended an elite private academy with ivy-covered walls and uniforms that screamed status. One sweltering weekend, the mansion buzzed with preparations for Victoria's Sweet 16 party, a lavish affair with white tents in the garden, a thumping DJ booth, and caterers hustling trays of gourmet hors d'oeuvres. The air was alive with the sizzle of grilling shrimp and the sweet tang of floral arrangements. Mom and I were roped in for extra hours, our uniforms starched and uncomfortable, serving drinks and clearing plates amid the glittering crowd of privileged teens. I was in the kitchen, stacking silver trays laden with delicate pastries, the heat from the ovens making sweat bead on my forehead. The clatter of dishes and chatter from the party filtered in, a cacophony of joy I wasn't part of. That's when Victoria cornered me, her shimmering pink gown swishing like a taunt. The fabric probably worth more than our car's Blue Book value. "Elena, be a dear and take these appetizers out to the guests," she commanded, thrusting a heavy platter at me with a saccharine smile. I balanced it carefully, turning to head out, but she accidentally elbowed me hard. The platter tipped, shrimp and sauce cascading in a chaotic arc, crashing to the tile floor with a resounding splatter. Laughter erupted from the adjoining room, heads turning to stare. "Oops," Clumsy helps kid strikes again, Victoria trilled, her voice carrying over the music, her eyes alight with malicious glee. The guests, her snooty friends in designer outfits, pointed and whispered, their giggles like needles pricking my skin. Marcus appeared at the doorway, doubling over in mirth. Told ya she'd never be more than a servant. Look at her now, on her knees where she belongs. My face flamed, the sticky sauce seeping into my clothes, the sharp seafood smell clinging to me like shame. I dropped to the floor, knees aching against the cold tiles, scrubbing frantically with a rag as tears burned my eyes. Inside a whirlwind. This isn't right. They get parties and praise while I get ridicule. One day, I'll make them eat those words. That humiliation, the sensory overload of spilled food's acrid scent, the mocking echoes, the sticky residue on my hands. It crystallized my resolve. I began channeling that rage into action. Extra study sessions under my bedsheet with a flashlight. Free online courses on the public library's ancient computers. Visions of escape dancing in my dreams. The true turning point arrived when I was 17, in my senior year of high school. Mom fell ill, a persistent flu that sapped her strength, leaving her bedridden for weeks in our dim apartment, the air thick with the scent of herbal teas and cough syrup. She couldn't work, and the Harringtons? Their response was callous. They docked her pay without a second thought, rumbling about the inconvenience to their pristine household. I remember standing in their grand foyer one evening, the crystal chandelier overhead casting harsh lights that stung my eyes, as Mrs. Harrington, the icy matriarch with her perfectly coiffed hair and pearl necklace, confronted me. "Your mother's reliability is slipping, Elena," she said coolly, her voice like velvet over steel. "Perhaps it's time we find new help, someone more dependable." Her words landed like a punch to the gut, knocking the wind out of me. In that moment, something snapped inside, a brittle branch breaking under too much weight. The foyer's opulence mocked me. The polished banisters, the antique vases filled with fresh flowers. No more, my mind roared. I've endured their barbs, their laughter, their dismissal for too long. This ends now. I felt a surge of determination, hot and unyielding, coursing through my veins like adrenaline. That night, as Mom slept fitfully, I sat at our rickety kitchen table, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead, and mapped out my future. No more head down. It was time to rise. After graduating high school with honors, valedictorian no less, though the Harringtons never knew, I secured a full-ride scholarship to UCLA, majoring in computer science. College was a whirlwind of challenges. Late-night coding marathons in fluorescent-lit dorms, the clack of keyboards my lullaby. Part-time jobs flipping burgers or tutoring to send money home. The constant hum of campus life contrasting sharply with my past isolation. But I thrived. Absorbing knowledge like a sponge, my fingers flying over laptops as I built simple apps that solved real problems. Mom, recovering slowly, continued at the mansion, her stories of the family's ongoing excesses fueling my drive. At 21, fresh diploma in hand, I landed an entry-level position at a buzzing startup in Silicon Valley. The office was a far cry from the mansion. Open-plan chaos with ping-pong tables and free snacks. The air buzzing with innovation and coffee. I poured my soul into it, innovating features for their platform, drawing from my service roots to create tools that empowered the underdogs. By 24, I'd saved enough to launch my own venture, an app connecting freelancers with fair gigs, ensuring no one got exploited. Bootstrapping it was brutal. Ramen noodles for dinner, Endless investor pitches in stuffy boardrooms where I faced skepticism about my background. But grit won out. Venture capital trickled in, then flooded. Users multiplied like wildfire. Within 3 years, my company was a multi-million-dollar entity. My name in tech magazines as a rising star. Throughout, I kept loose tabs on the Harringtons via mom's updates, their empire teetering on bad investments, a market crash exposing Mr. Harrington's shady deals. Scandals whispered through LA's elite circles, embezzlement rumors, lavish spending catching up. By my 27th birthday, they were bankrupt. The mansion listed for sale to stave off total ruin. Seeing the listing online, photos of those familiar rooms now empty and echoing, ignited that old fire. My company thriving, resources at my fingertips, I saw the opportunity for poetic justice. Anonymously, through a shell company, I bid aggressively, outmaneuvering competitors with a cash offer they couldn't refuse. The day the deal closed, it felt like destiny clicking into place. Climactic revenge payoff. 20 to 25 minutes. The morning of the property handover dawned crisp and clear, the California sun painting the sky in hues of gold and pink. I drove up that winding driveway I'd traversed countless times as a child, but now in my sleek electric car, the engine humming softly like a promise kept. My heart thumped erratically, a wild drumbeat echoing in my ears, palms slick on the steering wheel despite the AC's cool blast. The mansion loomed ahead, its white facade as imposing as ever. But today it didn't intimidate, it beckoned. I stepped out in a tailored power suit, charcoal gray with sharp lines that screamed success, my heels clicking authoritatively on the stone path. The deed papers crinkled in my handbag, a tangible symbol of triumph. Mom rode shotgun, her face a mix of awe and quiet pride, her hands folded in her lap, still calloused from years of labor. The Harringtons awaited on the wide porch, a tableau of faded glory. Mr. Harrington, once a booming patriarch, now looked shrunken, his seat hanging loosely, deep lines carving his face like a map of failures. Mrs. Harrington clutched a tissue, her pearls dull in the light, eyes red-rimmed from what I imagined were sleepless nights. Victoria and Marcus, in their late 20s, stood rigidly behind. Victoria's once vibrant hair limp, Marcus's cocky stance deflated. They didn't recognize me at first. Years had transformed me from the timid girl to a poised woman, chin high, gaze steady. As I ascended the steps, the familiar scent of the garden's roses wafted up, mingling with the tension in the air. Victoria's eyes narrowed, then widened in dawning horror. Wait, Elena, the maid's daughter? Her voice cracked, a brittle edge of disbelief and lingering disdain sharpening it. Marcus blinked rapidly, his Adam's apple bobbing. No way. This can't be. I smiled, a cool, measured curve of my lips that held years of suppressed fire. Yes, it's me. And this? I pulled the deed from my bag, holding it aloft like a trophy, the paper flaring slightly in the breeze. This makes it official. The mansion is mine now. The words hung heavy, charged with electricity. Victoria's face drained of color, her hands trembling as she gripped the porch railing. What? How is this possible? You were nothing. Her tone escalated to a shrill pitch, echoing across the lawn. Marcus exploded next, his face flushing crimson, fists balling at his sides. This is bullshit. Dad, tell her it's a mistake. He paced a step, shoes scuffing the wood, his breath coming in angry huffs. Mr. Harrington merely shook his head, shoulders slumping further. It's no mistake, son. We lost it all. The bid was fair, higher than anyone else's. Mrs. Harrington let out a soft gasp, her hand flying to her chest, as if struck, tears spilling over. But this was our home, our legacy. You can't just take it from us. Oh, but I can, I replied, evenly, though inside, a tidal wave of emotions crashed, relief washing away the old powerlessness, triumph sparking like fireworks. Remember all those years? The taunts, the laughter, calling me the helps kid, saying I'd never amount to anything, mocking my studies, my dreams? Well, take a good look around. The servant just acquired your throne. My voice held steady, but the satisfaction dripped from every syllable. Years of pent-up fury finding release. Victoria's eyes brimmed with furious tears, her makeup smudging as she wiped them away angrily. This is humiliating. Dad, do something. Sue her, anything. But there was no recourse. The papers were ironclad. Marcus muttered curses, his earlier bravado crumbling into humiliated rage, kicking at a potted plant that toppled with a thud. The air thickened with their shock, a palpable wave of disbelief and anger mirroring the turmoil I'd endured for so long. Mom stepped forward then, her voice soft but firm. You've reaped what you sowed. Pride shone in her eyes, a quiet validation for us both. As they gathered their remaining boxes, relics of their former life stacked haphazardly, the scene unfolded like a slow-motion victory. Victoria shot me a venomous glare, her lips pressed thin. You'll regret this, you know. Karma will come for you. I couldn't help but laugh, a genuine, liberating burst that echoed freely. No, Victoria, karma just arrived for you. And it's wearing my shoes. They loaded into a rented van, a far cry from their luxury fleet, Marcus slamming the door with a final, frustrated bang. The engine roared to life, tires crunching gravel as they drove away, shrinking in the rear view of my new domain. The door shut behind us with a resounding click, the mansion's halls now silent, save for our footsteps. I turned to Mom, tears finally breaking free, streaming down my cheeks in cathartic release. This is for us, Mom, for every scrub, every insult. She hugged me tight, her embrace warm and grounding. The climax wasn't just ownership. It was their stunned faces, the reversal of humiliation, the sweet taste of justice served cold. Validation surged through me, a balm on old wounds, turning pain into unshakable power. Reflecting on it all now, this journey transcends near revenge. It's a testament to karma's patient wheel, to resilience forged in fire, and to that innate human yearning for fairness in an often unjust world. I learned that being underestimated can be your secret weapon, transforming disrespect into rocket fuel for success. If you're listening and feeling trapped by others' judgments or your circumstances, hold on, your narrative isn't finished. Sometimes, life hands you the pen to rewrite the ending. It's profound, isn't it? How small acts of cruelty can ripple outward, but so can determination and kindness to yourself. What goes around truly comes around, and occasionally you get to witness or orchestrate the full circle. If that story sent shivers down your spine like it does mine every retelling, go ahead and smash that like button to let me know it hit home. Drop a comment below. What's the most satisfying revenge or comeback you've ever witnessed or pulled off? I love reading your tales. They inspire me. And if you want more real-life stories of triumph, underdogs rising, and justice prevailing, hit subscribe and turn on that bell for notifications. You won't want to miss the next one. Thanks so much for joining me today, everyone. Keep believing in your own power. Until next time, Take care and chase those dreams.